Electronic Arts' annual How Fast Can We Drop a Turd in the Toilet and Flush It for Profit has recently released. Admittedly, I was hesitant to do a review as I did one last year and there is quite a few this year. Then, I played this year's next-gen title, in quotations, on the Xbox Series X and decided I had a lot to say. Before getting into this review, let me address a few things. First, the answer that this is just Madden, EA has done this, is no longer acceptable. For starters, it is the only simulation football game on the market. Next, their practices of ignoring features while focusing on live service ones and employing as many monetized features as possible has leaked to other games. This is bad for me, this is bad for you, this is bad for all consumers as a whole. Second, the only way things will change is if people speak up and people stop buying. This will be the second Madden in a row I haven't bought and the second year I will talk out loud. While I don't consider myself an influencer by any means, this has to stop, and I will do what I can to make sure football fans like myself receive a proper football game. Before getting to my full-blown rant, please hit the like button and let me know when the last Madden you purchased was. Likes and comments as well as subscribing helps the algorithm so much, so please consider supporting me, it's absolutely free. So EA's Madden 22 was not sent to me for review. Unfortunately, after my scathing review last year, EA and their press team were unable to find review codes to send out, yet they could send out plenty of codes to players and influencers who push their monetized platform. Does this bug me? Yes. For the fact I didn't get a review? No. But them avoiding sending review codes to critical reviewers and just sending them to players and influencers should warrant concern for consumers alone. So, how is the game? Madden 22 is a colossal disaster, and anyone telling you otherwise is trying to sell you content or trying to get you to click their obnoxious links of them opening Monopoly card packs.
What the fuck is this?
Last year, the fans made an uproar, forcing the hand of EA and their response. Some new menus, some fancier corporate speak.
Improved blocking too. Passing pockets will form deeper and faster around the quarterback. We've gone even deeper with next-gen player movement this year, making players even more authentic and explosive in their movements and interactions.
This is bullshit.
So let's start off with the largely unchanged franchise mode that is being touted as the second coming of Madden 2004 or ESPN 2K5. Once again, EA is pushing elaborate corporate speak for something that has little to no innovation, missing key features from previous generations and adding in ones that were already in previous games. A skill tree was added for coaches, as well as a coaching staff tree, but none of the coordinators were added into the game, so you get fake, poorly rendered coaches. That's cool. Free agency is still a disaster. Contracts like the famed Patrick Mahomes contract of 10 years worth $500 million isn't possible. In fact, Madden is so lazy they created their own numbers for Mahomes' contract. Okay, so what about the scouting? They talked a lot about the scouting, something that comes with the game. Oh, wait, you have to wait for that.
We're targeting September for the release of scouting through a live service update.
Yes, this addition will be added later to the game. Let me stop this right here and remind you that the base price of this next-gen title is $70. Not $50, not $30, but $70. I'll bitch more about that later. Franchise system is incredibly broken, with people simulating games with broken statistics. The game's simulation engine doesn't work at all, and simple things like the right tackle position aren't included in the game.
Franchise mode right now, it's impossible to search for right tackles because the position doesn't exist.
You mean to tell me, as a former offensive lineman, you programmed a game, and in free agency, you can't search for right tackles?
Franchise mode now has this new menu screen, but instead of really adding functionality, it's slow, clunky, and intrusive. The game's rendering speed, bouncing in and out of menus, is as slow as previous generation games. People will play games of their franchise, go to the main menu screen after, and see that their score wasn't the same. In fact, they lost the game they won. Weekly strategy was added, allowing you to see which players on offense or defense of the opposing team is successful. Here you get basic options on how to stop them, whether it be to provide more attention to the short pass or the run game. Honestly, the results don't change either way. Season Engine was brought back once again, with some apparent, in quotations, enhancements. But once again, you're left through two basic responses to basic questions. Both implementations are poor and lack any sort of true innovation. Okay, so let's get down to the nuts and bolts, the gameplay. This has to be somewhat changed, right? Since once again EA Sports is spewing absolute marketing BS. The company has mastered the ability to say everything, but it mean absolutely nothing. Gameplay remains, guess what, unchanged, with slightly new animations, a cutscene or two for the opening, and that's about it. The game has so many glitches, Cyberpunk would be impressed, with opposing teams even coming out invisible. A glitch where you will go to play a different team, but end up playing the same team in a different stadium. Tell me how that makes sense. Animations, once again, do not act in an authentic manner to football, with the ball having a life of its own. Plays are predetermined, meaning once again, blocks will be missed so you can be sacked, receivers will alter routes so you can throw an interception, and all of the above. All this makes for a stiff, boring interpretation of one of the most entertaining things to watch. The game was designed as if nobody had actually asked anyone who played football how the sport works. In fact, many moons ago, the EA Sports team not only used to reach out to Hall of Fame coaches like John Madden, but it also brought in players for real motion-based physics using various tracking systems. That includes, watch out, referees. The same referees that cannot be implemented in the game for bullshit excuses.
But some people are still upset or not happy that referees were removed from the game.
We removed them from on field because they become detractors based on the visual look of everything else going on in the game and the movement. Really, that's even bigger. The movement of our players, the movement of the refs, and the visual fidelity of the refs was not up to par.
According to Soft Drink Sports TV, who runs a wonderful channel dedicated to sports games, the latest Madden incarnation is missing over 89 features to its gameplay, features that date as far back as 2004, but apparently Madden states that this is due to, in quotations, limitations. Madden 2004 was released in August of 2003 on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. That Xbox was running on 64 megabytes of RAM and 8 gigs of internal storage. Latest phones that aren't even flagship phones, are running with an on average 8 gigs of RAM. The Xbox Series X is running on the fastest RAM storage available at 16 gigabytes. This excuse is absolutely bullshit, but it's okay because the company continues to churn record profits off this game due to monetizations built into the platform. The game received some modest appreciation for updated character models like real hair, but yet many characters remain unrendered. Hell, the models aren't even attempted to look like their real counterparts. Reminder, EA owns the NFL license and has for 16 years. They own the images, the NFL likeness, presentation and broadcast features like ESPN and SportsCenter, $1 billion in pure revenue, and yet not an ounce of innovation. The innovation is adding in features like the crowd having an effect on the game, something that was featured in NCAA Football 14 and even earlier. Yet this feature has a minimal effect on the actual gameplay. Oh, guess what? Shocker. Ultimate Team remains the bread and butter, as well as the addition of the Yard mode, which is back for another year. Neither of them I had any interest in playing, which I guess discredits me as a reviewer, but guess what? Nothing's changed in these modes. You purchase cards of players with decreased arbitrary rankings and grind forever, or you can spend your precious cash on souped up player cards. It literally makes 0 sense. You can have one player with a dozen various cards. This is a deceitful game based on taking your money, creating an addictive game mode that preys on children that don't know any better. I'm so for everybody fighting their career and their hustle, but if you push cards like this, I seriously don't understand you. I really don't. The fact of the matter is, while I have an issue with Ultimate Team, I could actually accept it. Let's be honest, competing franchises like MLB The Show and NBA 2K have been hit on for microtransactions laced into their game. NBA 2K actually had no shit slot machines, and kids play this. That being said, both games have much better presentation, better commentary that doesn't feel old or stiff, player models that actually look like players, and deep modes that allow for hours and hours of gameplay. You can have all this and completely avoid the fact that there is modes that have purchase packs. I get companies have to worry about their bottom line, their stock bullshit, and paying their CEOs record profits. I get it, but you can still appeal to the core fans. NFL fans want to have that deep franchise mode, something that is so hard to put down. A franchise mode that feels like an NFL grind, where players have various emotions, balancing of the salary cap, and most of all, trying to win that precious championship. We don't care about a purple nurple Michael Vick card that gives him diarrhea speed if activated 5 yards after the snap for 2.5 seconds of colorful neon fields that were guaranteed glaucoma. Get rid of it. I'm sick of it. EA Sports has pushed out another hot potato of a game. Sure, on average, I'd say their development time is roughly 9 months, but some of the integration with a staff as large as theirs, this stuff could probably take a few weeks at most. Consumers will get options between 3 overly priced editions of, in quotations, simulation football. The $70 version, an MVP edition for $99, and a Dynasty edition for a bone-rattling, blood-boiling $120.
Fuck it.
And no, at this price, you do not get a handy from EA. Shocking. So as I come to the conclusion of this video, I have come to the thought that, unfortunately, nothing will change. I had to be sour and I had to be a downer. EA Sports has no reason to care because they are making $1 billion plus in revenue. The NFL has no reason to care because they're making $1 billion plus, despite the fact they would probably make more if the license was open and allowed multiple incarnations of simulated football. The only people who can truly make a difference is you, the consumer, sharing videos like this and getting the message out to stop buying things like this will create notice and movement that will force EA's hand, or maybe the NFL. It isn't just about football games, but these lazy, poorly implemented practices have bled into other companies like Activision, Ubisoft, and more. The ball is in your court, because let's be honest, it would probably glitch out of EA's.